أوجه نداء صادقا
كل أمل ونجاح.
Good afternoon. You're watching the English newscast on Future Television. I'm Linda Tamima. These are today's top stories. Telecommunications Minister Boutros Hadab slams corruption allegations leveled by Foreign Minister Gibran Bassil and MTV News over the illegal internet scandal. Environment Minister Mohamed Mashnouk calls on the government to find alternatives to the proposed Jannah Dam, warning its construction will lead to an environmental disaster. And Barack Obama makes a historic visit to Hiroshima, becoming the first U.S. incumbent president to visit the Japanese city where America dropped an atomic bomb in 1945. Telecommunications Minister Boutros Hadab slammed corruption allegations leveled by Foreign Affairs Minister Gibran Bassil and MTV News over the illegal internet scandal. Hadab first addressed Bassil's accusations that the Telecoms Ministry was refraining from presenting a report the cabinet has been demanding and signing a multi-million-dollar contract with Ogerod that does not abide by the law since the cabinet was not consulted on it. The telecommunications minister said the contracts between his ministry and Ogerod cannot be approved by him solely, but must also pass through a court of audit as well. He also accused Bassil of being involved in his own corrupt deals and files. Hadab then commented on the campaign against him carried out by MTV and its owner Gabriel Elmour. MTV ran a report on Wednesday which accused him of sidestepping the law by renewing a contract between his ministry and Ogerod for the maintenance of facilities and equipment. Environment Minister Mohamed Mashnouk has called on the government to find alternatives to the proposed Jannah Dam, saying its construction will lead to an environmental disaster. In a televised press conference, Mashnouk condemned the illegal cutting of trees at the construction site of the dam at the Ibrahim Valley north of Beirut. Work on the Jannah Dam has recently become a point of contention among politicians, with the cabinet failing to find a solution a day earlier. Proponents of the dam believe recent objection to halt the project is politically motivated, while noting that the cabinet is the only authority who is allowed to make a decision on the dam. Mashnouk called on ministers to quicken efforts to find a solution. The government is expected to address the issue in a session next Thursday. Interior Minister Nuhad Mashnouk has issued a decree to postpone for the second time the upcoming municipal elections in the East Lebanon village of Jdita. The decree doesn't state why elections have been postponed, nor does it set a new date. However, it gives Bekaa Governor Antoine Sleiman municipal council duties until a new council is elected. Jdita residents had protested Mashnouk's decision to postpone the polls the first time earlier this month. The reason given for the first postponement was that the race had taken a sectarian turn and tensions had surfaced in the town. Mashnouk also decided to cancel a previous decision to postpone the elections in the northern village of Turza in the Bshari district, thus allowing the village to vote this Sunday. Education Minister Ilyes Boussab has announced a series of reforms aimed at improving the official examination system following reports of widespread cheating during last year's tests. In a televised press conference, Boussab said, quote, "We're going to rely on a new method for grading the official exams, which gives teachers from different areas a chance to take part in the correction process," end of quote. The Education Minister also revealed that teachers will now have to apply to take part in the official exams process instead of the old system that favored certain teachers. Correcting exams will now be divided into 12 divisions across Lebanon instead of just Beirut. As part of these reforms, the ministry will be video monitoring all exam rooms across Lebanon. The minister said these new changes will not mean the exams will be harder, but they will rather try to preserve the needed standard. Électricité du Liban contract workers have raided the office of the company's chief in Beirut, demanding they be made full-time employees. The source says around 30 people stormed the 13th floor of EDEAL's Beirut headquarters, which houses the office of EDEAL chief Kamal Hayek. They reportedly prevented Hayek from entering his office and other employees from leaving the floor. EDEAL released a statement saying the protesters threatened to burn tires and refused to leave despite calls from the internal security forces. Now for some news about the Syria war. Turkey has accused the United States of hypocrisy after U.S. commandos in Syria were pictured supporting a major ground offensive led by the YPG. Ankara regards the YPG as a terror group, accusing it of carrying out attacks inside Turkey and being the Syrian branch of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, known as the PKK, which has fought an insurgency against the Turkish state for more than 3 decades. However, Washington sees the YPG as one of the most effective fighting forces against ISIS extremists inside Syria. Elsewhere in the country, ISIS fighters captured territory from Syrian rebels in an area near the Turkish border, and the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says they were close to cutting off an insurgent-held town. The Vivid Light Festival opens in Sydney, Australia, illuminating city landmarks. That's coming up next. Welcome back. Barack Obama has become the first U.S. incumbent president to visit Hiroshima, the Japanese city where America dropped an atomic bomb in 1945. Accompanied by Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, Obama laid a wreath at the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park before paying tribute to the 140,000 victims of the world's first nuclear attack. He told the assembled crowd that the world has a shared responsibility to ask how to prevent the suffering that took place in Hiroshima on August 6th of 1945, the day the U.S. dropped the atomic bomb on the western Japanese city.
We come to ponder a terrible force unleashed in a not-so-distant past. We come to mourn the dead. Mere words cannot give voice to such suffering. But we have a shared responsibility to look directly into the eye of history and ask what we must do differently to curb such suffering again. But among those nations like my own that hold nuclear stockpiles, we must have the courage to escape the logic of fear and pursue a world without them.
Still in Japan, the leaders of the G7 group say the world economy is an urgent priority and cautioned that a British vote to leave the European Union would seriously threaten global growth. In a statement following a 2-day summit in the Japanese resort of Ise-shima, the world's 7 leading industrial nations pledged to collectively tackle major risks to global growth and committed to a cooperative approach in beefing up policies to stimulate those sluggish economies. Sydney, Australia is awash with colour this evening as more than 90 light installations light up the city for the annual Vivid Sydney Festival, projecting colourful art on the world-famous Sydney Harbour Bridge, Sydney Opera House and throughout the city. Vivid Sydney officially opened tonight and will run for 23 nights until June 18th. Vivid Sydney is the world's largest festival of light, music and ideas. More than 150 artists from 23 countries have created the light installations and projections that appear in more than 8 Vivid Sydney precincts spread across Sydney. The festival also features 195 Vivid music events and more than 500 speakers appearing at Vivid Idea Forum.
So Vivid Sydney in 2016 is the biggest Vivid we've ever had. We've taken everything to a brand new level with the best light artists from around the world and the best light artists in Australia participating in Vivid. We're setting a new standard. We're lighting the Opera House, Customs House. We're bringing Taronga Zoo and the Botanic Gardens to light like they've never seen before. And not only are we lighting the city, we're also encouraging a new generation of people to embrace innovation and those important STEM subjects at school and right across the innovation boom that's here in Australia. Whilst Vivid's able to showcase Sydney's great creative talent, it also provides an opportunity in 2016 to really celebrate 2 of our great city institutions, Taronga Zoo turning 100 years and our Botanic Gardens also turning 200. They're centrepiece locations in Sydney and they're going to be one of the new additions in Vivid 2016. Make sure you get down to these fantastic locations, enjoy the wonderful animals at Taronga Zoo and experience the Cathedral of Light here at the Botanic Gardens. They'll simply blow your mind.
Well, Vivid Sydney really is the perfect event. It drives tourism into Sydney and regional New South Wales, it generates jobs, it reinforces Sydney's position as the creative services hub of the Asia Pacific, but most of all, it brings joy and happiness to everybody who participates. It's a must-see event, and I think that's why people keep coming back year after year.
Having Vivid Sydney here at the Royal Botanic Garden is a great way to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the garden. The garden is not only a spectacular location on Sydney's doorstep, it's also an important leader in science and conservation, in food security, in biosecurity, in climate change adaptation and so on. So it's great on that 200th anniversary to recognise not only what a spectacular location this is for millions of people who visit it every year, but also that important science and conservation effort where the Royal Botanic Garden is a world leader.
The Garden of Light is bringing our botanic gardens to you at night. It's lighting up the existing collection and creating something that's never been seen in Sydney before. So when you come into the Botanic Gardens for this exhibit, you'll see the Cathedral of Light, you'll see the trees lit up, you'll see our garden brought to life by these electric artists.
Well, Vivid Sydney is the world's largest festival of light, music and ideas, and being able to have the University of Technology Sydney embedded into this year's Vivid sends a really strong signal across the Asia Pacific about how strong creativity is part of the New South Wales and Sydney economy. It's also showcasing the creative and innovative talent that our fantastic university students are showing all over the city. Vivid's now in its 8th year and we're going from strength to strength, and we're showcasing the next generation of light artists, making sure that right across the world people who are inspired by what happens in Vivid Sydney can look forward for the years to come.
We have an absolute visual feast at Central Park this year. It's Central Park's 2nd year, and we have a spectacular projection called X Factory on the facade of the heritage-listed Carlton Brewery, which explores what it's like to be an X Factory and explores disruptive technologies, the rise of computation, the rise of the robot. Also this year we've involved the students from University of Technology Sydney, and they're providing again a wonderful collection of individual pieces from the first-year students, second-year students and the master students of the animation course. It really is a spectacular evening.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our headlines. Telecommunications Minister Boutros Harib slams corruption allegations leveled by Foreign Minister Gibran Bassil and MTV News over the illegal internet scandal. Environment Minister Mohamed Mashnouk calls on the government to find alternatives to the proposed Jannah Dam, warning its construction will lead to an environmental disaster. And Barack Obama makes a historic visit to Hiroshima, becoming the first U.S. incumbent president to visit the Japanese city where America dropped an atomic bomb in 1945. Those are your top stories in English for today. I'm Linda Tamim, and I thank you all for watching.
وجه نداء صادقا
كل أمل ونجاح